Hi there, and thank you for joining me for today's live reading of The Predator Part 2. This is the second book in the Predator series by Brooke May, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1, Chamberlain. Holy fucking shit. I dig the heels of my hands into my eyes, but it does nothing to erase the image of her ice blue eyes from my mind. She's here, in Denver. Fuck. My back hits the locker behind the bench I slammed my ass onto after I made my way back here after my fight. My Katie is here, and she came to see me fight. Where the hell has she been for the past, 4 years? Fuck. I mutter once more and close my eyes, letting the cold temperature of the locker cool my head. Never in a million and 1 years would have I thought that coming to Denver, 2,000 miles away from home, I would find my girl, my missing piece, my panda, and most importantly, the only woman I want for the rest of my life. Denver is one of my last stops on the whole tour deal before the championship in Vegas. Then it would be home to Boston, to my giant warehouse, but home by myself. Well, not completely alone if you include Scott and my cook living on the floor below, but still, always alone. Scott has never understood why I bought the warehouse and turned it into my home/gym, and I don't care to explain it to him. The thought of someday having Katie come back to me drove me to buy it. It isn't a huge warehouse, but it's big enough to house a full gym with a fighting ring on the ground floor, and it has an underground garage for my cars and bikes. The second floor has two apartments. One is Scott's, and the other belongs to my cook. They pay nothing to live there. I won't ever accept money from them for it. The whole third floor is mine, an open plan for my living room, dining room, and kitchen with 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. So much more than what I ever had in my life. When I bought it, I had a family in mind to live there, a family with Katie. And for the longest time, that dream seemed to just be what it was, a dream. But now I plan to make it come true. I've scarcely decorated my house with only a few pictures around the whole place, pictures of my parents and grandparents, and the pictures I had taken of Katie when we were together. My favorite one sits on my bedside table. It's of her and me at the Bash Bish Falls. That was an amazing week in more ways than one. Fuck. This fight had me so pumped because I knew I would take my opponent with no problem. I've fought him before. He hasn't gotten any better, and that drives me crazy. Some of the boxers I've come to know work their asses off, like me, to stay on top of their game while others just get by and soak up the attention instead. That was this opponent. He has settled into his role, keeping up his strength just enough to get fights, but otherwise, he's too busy with partying and women. My moves and technique were flawless. I wore him down, then went in and took him down before he knew what hit him. He was easy, almost too easy. I really wish Scott could talk them into scheduling me against tougher opponents. Ever since I became the champ last season, they've only handed me the easy guys to show I'm still on top of my game. I want a challenge. I want to actually fight for it. And just as the ref was declaring me the winner, a buzz, a feeling that I hadn't felt in forever and never thought I would again, took hold of my body. I turned my gaze from the fans cheering for me to the center of the front row where she sat. Katie. No matter how much time has passed since I last saw her, I will always be able to find her in a crowd. She was standing before me, barely clapping while she stared up at me with wide, ice blue eyes, the same eyes that used to hold so much love for me. I could tell the moment she realized I was watching her, and for the first time in nearly 4 years, my dick jumped to life. I'm still training in my shorts. Glad to see you're still alive. I grumbled down at my tinted shorts. Her sun blonde hair is now longer than it used to be, and her sexy little body wore my fight colors, black and white. She's still very much my little panda. She never knew this, but I never had any set colors until I met her. Then, the first day I saw her, I went out and blew my whole paycheck on everything I needed in black and white. After she had disappeared, black and white haunted my whole life just as her memory has. Never once did I think to change any of it, though. Even if I did, it would be too much now. My kitchen, black and white. My cars and bikes, black and white. Hell, even most of my clothes are black and white. Not only did she change my choice of colors, but she also changed my world. I never thought I would care so much about one person or love something as much as I did and still do her after I lost my mom. I shared more with Katie than I ever did with anyone else, besides Scott. But that fucker has known me forever. I couldn't break the trance she had me under until she ripped it away when she quickly grabbed the little redhead who was standing and cheering next to her. As much as I wanted to stop her right there, I couldn't. Too many people around me mean the fans would have stopped me. I did get a good look at that body of hers. I had checked her out before she got the chance to retreat. The back and front are both incredible sights. I knew that body well, and I know when I see a change to it. She has a more distinguished curve to her waist and hips now, where there used to only be subtle curves. Damn. And her tits looked fucking amazing. She was a B cup when we dated, just little things that I love to play with. But now, boy, have those babies grown. It makes me wonder if she is even dancing anymore. My head tilted and watched her perfectly round ass move under the black material of her dress. Her legs were tanned and toned beauties that I wanted to be wrapped around me again. I love to see her with some color. Katie used to be so pale. Now she isn't. She is tan and sun-kissed, reminding me of honey, and that makes my mouth water for a simple taste of her. Something was different about her, but still the same. When she looked at me, I could see the same Katie I loved. Hell, I still love her. But yet her eyes held a stronger resolve that was never there before. In truth, it was slowly growing there, but now it is there in full force, as if she's protecting something. Possibly her heart. I kick myself all the fucking time for never telling her that I loved her when I had the chance. She said it to me, and that changed my whole world. That night in my grandparents' cottage, my heart started beating only for her. It killed me that she couldn't remember saying it to me, but it still brought light to my life. She left with my heart, and I want nothing more than to own hers as she does mine. With my song, Animals by Maroon 5, playing through the room, it gets my blood pumping even more. I felt possessive, and if I didn't have so many fucking people in the way, I would have been down there in front of her, devouring her lips with a kiss that would remind her that she is mine, and that what we had together was once in a lifetime love and would always be there. When she dragged her friend out of the arena, I quickly looked at Scott, who was watching the whole thing. He had a shocked look on his face. His mouth hung open along with a glint in his eyes. He looked up at me and I nodded to her. He gave me a shit-eating grin as he talked to Christopher, my assigned concierge, who then took off at a run to try to catch the girls. Katie and I need to talk, and it's going to be a long one. And after everything is said, I'm never letting her go again. I was on my way back to the locker room when he came back empty-handed, causing my temper to rise. Why would she come to watch me fight and not want to talk to me? I mean, fuck, I went through hell trying to find her and never found anything. Private investigators couldn't dig anything up on where she ran to or where her parents possibly shipped her off to. The fucking Cunninghams know how to cover their tracks too well. For a while, I thought maybe she'd had an accident, but nothing was ever released on it, and deep in my broken heart, I knew she was out there somewhere, safe. I just had to find her. I don't know how many days I actually drove to her parents' house and stood at the gates yelling her name through them, hoping and praying she would come walking out one day. Every day, I would leave defeated, hoarse, tired, and broken. It was as if she just dropped off the face of the planet. Her phone had been shut off, and I felt stupid for never having her email address. She didn't have any social media accounts. Over the years, I would check from time to time by entering every name I could think of that she might use. Never once did I find her. The night I won my first fight, I went to the hotel room right away to call her and tried a million times. I was so pissed and upset she couldn't be there with me. I wanted my beauty with me while I won, and I couldn't have it. I knew when I tried to call her the first time she would answer, and it shocked me that she never did. I lost track of how many times I tried to call her that night, foregoing the party my friends wanted to have for me to try to reach her. I couldn't wait to tell her and get back to her. I left Scott first thing Sunday morning to get back to Boston and Katie. Boy, was I surprised to come home and find in the days that followed from a reliable source that she was gone, vanished. Without a single word, Katie disappeared from my life. She said she never wanted to speak to you again, Mr. Lawrence, Christopher had explained to me as we walked to the locker room. Why? She seemed pretty upset, sir, he offered weakly. My nostrils flared as my temper rose to an all-time high. Like that makes me feel better. She's upset about something, but what could she possibly be upset about? Scott snorted with disgust next to me. He should be the only one upset here. If she... Enough, Scott. I had cut him off. No one, and I mean no one outside myself, him, and Katie, should know what I went through and how I continue to torture myself daily with trying to figure out where she went. I thought for sure now that her dad had announced his plans for the presidency, she would resurface, but she hadn't yet. Hell, I made it a point to read and watch every single one of his interviews and anything with him on the news in the hopes of seeing or hearing about her. Not a single reporter ever asked about his oldest daughter, only her mom and sister. That smug, asshole face of Douglas Cunningham is burned into my mind. I knew her parents were a piece of work once I met them, but I never thought that they would actually do away with their oldest daughter. Katie was sweet, innocent, and full of so much love. I could never figure out how they didn't love her. And she's here in Denver, Colorado, one of the last places I would have ever thought to look. But why here? What's out here that would bring her here? When I was searching for her, I managed to track down her sister and that Tim douche, but either they didn't know anything or they weren't going to say. Fuck. Zoe was a real piece of work, talking about how useless her sister was right in front of me. I can't help but smile now. I lost my temper at them and yelled before the security at the restaurant escorted me out. She was perfect and fucking everything to me. You are nothing compared to her, I yelled as they hauled me out.